then hit start recording. Okay. So you're going to be creating this in Excel. Someone's deciding to print things. Oh, and we're even going to do a chart. Charts are going to be easily done. We're going to start today just by learning how to enter data in the cells as we go. And we should be getting started on the formatting of them. Okay, so let's get going here. We're going to start with a blank Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to start Excel, come down here and search for Excel, and if it's not already on your taskbar, you can right-click, pin to taskbar. Mine is already pinned to my taskbar, and I can just hit Enter to start Excel or click on the taskbar. Up pops Excel, and we're going to start with a blank workbook. I can roll my mouse to zoom in on my cells, just so you can see a little better. I'll keep it zoomed as much as possible so you can read it. And this is your Excel interface. Every time you click on part of the grid, that is a cell. If I click and start typing something, that cell will now contain that. If I hit Enter, it'll take me to the next cell over. If I come and start clicking on a cell that has something in it, if I just click on it and then start typing, it replaces what is there. If I want to edit that, I can double click and then use my normal editing skills to edit what's there. Another way to edit what is there in a cell is this little formula bar. I can change what's up there and it will change what's displayed in that cell. If I want to delete something in the cell, I can simply click and hit delete, and it clears that cell. So the content of the cell is controlled just by what's typed in there. If I want to delete it, I can select and hit delete. It will clear the cells that have anything in them. I can navigate my cells just by using my arrow keys or clicking on them. The point and click is the most natural. But I can use my arrow keys, or the tab key, or the enter key. And they behave differently depending on where we are in the worksheet. So I'm navigating through arrow keys, clicking, or tabs, or enter. Anytime I'm on a cell, the address of that cell appears up here in the address bar. I can actually give cells addresses names, but that can get very confusing. Every time I click on a cell, notice its address goes by the column it's in, followed by the row number it's in. Columns have letters, rows have numbers. So D5. If I click, it shows the address there. Double click, I am now editing the formula just as though I were typing up there in the formula bar. If I apply a format to a cell, such as make this cell bold, I can hit bold. I don't even know what's happened unless I come back to that cell and start typing something, and I see that, oh, that cell has bold formatting. You can apply formatting before there's anything in a cell. Like these cells, I can say make the text red in those cells. If I ever come to type in those cells, it will have red text. Formatting is remembered separately from the contents of the cell. So formatting applies to the cell even if there's not something in there yet. Now if I want to apply the same formatting to all, I can do my format painter and paint over those cells to be the default formatting that I had before. Or I can do the Control Z and undo my formatting changes. So learning about what's on this home ribbon will be very helpful to you as we start entering values in these cells to form that projection spreadsheet. We'll be navigating through and learning the navigation. That your basic font formats of what format of the font will be when I'm in that cell will be affected even before I can, or it can be set even before I type something in. Here I can align things same way. I can say whatever gets in there is going to be aligned a certain way. We'll see that Excel likes to align certain things one way. If I ever need to do fancier things like inserting and formatting, I have more things on my ribbon. generally the display of numbers can be controlled in this little section. This is the new section we haven't seen yet. The formatting of numbers as I start typing them. So let's get started with this spreadsheet for our Frangold Real Estate Company. We're going to first enter the title and subtitle and some information. Then we're going to come back later and format the numbers. So we're thinking in our mind, we want a spreadsheet something like this. We're going to have a title across the top, centered. We're going to be entering some numbers for our income in a separate section with various types of income as row headings. And the months of the year across the top as column headings. We'll have a section on income and then a section on expenses, and then later on have a calculated net income for each month separately. And we'll do a little cool eye candy pie chart. So that's what we're planning to do, and now we just have to start entering those values into our cells by first entering a title or the contents of the title. Now in the little chapter quiz, they'll go over the various names of the things in your toolbars and the names of the toolbars, but we'll just learn as we go. Hands-on learning here. Okay, so we're going to enter the title up here in cell A1. Click on A1 and start typing Frangold Real Estate. I could be typing in the formula bar as well. If I get anything spelled wrong, such as budget, it does not give me the red squigglies. I can come later and do a review spell check, and it will check for spelling, and it should catch that. Frangold, I'm going to ignore. It does catch my error with the budget spelling. So you have to manually check for spelling as you type. You don't get red squigglies until you come back later and do the review. Watch what happens if I type something in row B1 or cell B1. I'll type something. It isn't tromping over what's in cell A1, but it is blocking it. You can kind of think of the columns overlapping. If there's nothing in it, you can think of the cell being transparent, and it lets through what's in another cell to the left of it that's overlapping. So we don't care what's in B1, but I can always come back and put something in those cells, even though this is the contents of cell A1. Cell A2 is going to have the projected monthly estimates. It's going to become a subtitle later. Not going to worry about the format of it yet. I'm going to get numbers in here and titles, and then I'll worry about formatting. So content and then style. The next plan here is to have headings across the top of my income. So this is going to be my income section. I'm putting the word income there. And I'm hitting tab to go to the next column over. And what I want here is we're going to be listing the income, and the row heading is going to be the names of the month. So I click here and type January. And I can tab over because I want to type February here, but wait a minute, I don't have to remember how to spell any more months. I can click on this cell and I can hover down over the fill handle. If I get the double arrow, that means I can move what's in that cell around. Don't want to do that. If I go to the lower right corner, I have a black crosshair, a solid crosshair. I can drag that to the right, and look at that, it's filling in, it's auto-filling the names of the month for me all the way out to row or column M, and it's filled in the months using an auto-fill feature. We'll be learning more about the auto-fill feature. If I did an auto-fill down, grab the fill handle, it will give me the months going down, but I don't want the months going down. I want the months going across the row. Nice way to save yourself time. It only works for certain sequences, like if I type in Monday and autofill, it'll give me the days of the week. If I type in Friday, let's see what happens. Friday, it automatically adds more. If I type in A1 and autofill to the right, let's see what happens. It increments the number. There's several autofill features that are available, but we just use the months. Okay, now for the income categories, we're going to have various categories. But first, we want to have expenses are going to be listed down in row 8. Now, the easy way to go down to row 8, I can redo all the fill handle or select the row heading. Whenever I'm in the heading part, I can adjust my row height. If I click on it, I'm selecting everything in that row that I can then copy with a Control-C. Gets a dashed line around it to show that that has been copied to the clipboard. I can come down here to A8 and do a Control-V. Paste what was in row 3. I think if I selected the 8, I think it'll do the same thing. Yeah, because I had the entire row there selected. Now notice what happened. When I pasted it, it also pasted the height of that row that I had adjusted. When you do a copy-paste, not only does it copy the contents, it remembers the formatting of what you copied. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's a pain. There are ways to do a paste special to not copy the formatting, but just the content. Now we're ready to, we want to do it at the end of this. I forgot to put at the end, I forgot to put a total. So I'm going to go to the M row and hit one right arrow over. If I hit escape, it turns off the copy, and I can put total here. And I forgot to put total here. I could copy paste or just type it again. Total here. We're going to have a total for each row of projected expenses or income. And I can zoom out. This is what you have so far. Just 2 rows, row 3 and row 8, ready for numbers in between. And let's go ahead and save this before I forget. I'm going to go do Control-S, and I'm going to save it to my Section 2 folder by browsing over to it. My Section Fall 23, Section 2. I think I'm in the wrong place. I'm going to go over to my special hard drive location. Fall 23, Section 2. There we are. I'm going to save it there as EX1, and I'll put my student name in there, JSmart Frangold Real Estate. And save. So EX1 automatically adds the .xlsx suffix to my file name. That's often hidden, but that's how Word determines that that belongs to Excel. Now, additional columns for our income are going to be commission and interest and total. So not much income except for commission. Commission, interest, and we're going to have a total for that section in the column. If it bothers me that this is overlapping into the next cell over, I can always adjust my column width. If I ever want it to automatically fit, I can double click on the border of any column, and it auto fits that column to be the largest thing in it. Since the titles are not going to be part of that, I can come back and shrink it to a more reasonable size. Now we're going to add some more categories for expenses. This is supposed to say expense, not income. So I replace that with expenses. Expenses. And now my expenses are going to be these various categories. Rent. Hitting enter takes me down a row. Utilities. The arrow key down will also take me down a row. Enter is closer to my hand, so I'm going to use enter. website, printing, office supplies, gas. I don't know if that's gas for the building or gas for the fleet. I don't know what that would be. Miscellaneous and total. I'm going to hit enter twice and have a spacer row there at 18, and we're going to have a net. The net income for the month will also be calculated. Now it feels like there's a lot of data entry that we're going to do. I mean, this big table, we're going to be entering lots of numbers. Well, really, we're only going to be entering a few, and most of them are going to be copied from the previous months. So let's enter January through December commission first. Then we'll find out our projected expenses are almost the same for every month. So although this looks like a lot of data, we're going to be basically filling it in for January, and it's mostly going to be copied over for the rest of the months. But let's first fill in our commissions for our projected commissions for each month, probably based on last year's performance. So our expected commission for January, $12,000. Tabbing over this time because I want to go to the right. Another $12,000 in February. Expected to increase a little bit in March. April, same. May is going to be picking up a little bit more to $16,000. June, bigger month, $18,500. July is the biggest month, $20,000. And then August starts coming back a little bit, $18,500. September, $18,500. October, $14,000. November, $14,000. And a little bump back up in December, $16,500. That's the projected commission for each month, based on probably last year's. Now the interest income for every month, we're expecting $100. 100. Now I could type 100 a bunch of times, or click on this cell, and down in the lower right corner, if I hover over that, I'll get a solid crosshair. That is what we call the fill handle. I can grab that fill handle, just like I did the fill handle on the months, and copy it over. This is the same as doing a copy paste, but with a dragging handle. It's called the fill handle. Just like I did the fill handle with January, that fill handle. Now don't confuse the fill handle with that double arrow. That means I'm moving it. Don't confuse the solid with the double arrow. Double arrow means I'm grabbing what's in that cell and moving it somewhere else. The thick crosshair is the selection. Now we're not going to enter anything here. We're going to let Excel do the work for us there. But before we let Excel do the work, let's come down and enter some values for our projected spending, and we're only going to worry about January, because then we're going to copy all of January's over, and then there's just a few changes. So the expected rent, $1,500. Must have a tiny office. Utilities, $325. $400 for advertising. The website, we don't pay anything until 1 month in the year, so we'll leave it 0 for January. Printing is $200 projected each month. Office supplies of about $200 for January. Gas, we're going to be spending about $100 a month projected. Miscellaneous, that very dangerous category of we don't account for what it was spent on. It's just something other than those others. We're expecting $250 miscellaneous expenses. I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit. And now, since all the months are about the same, I'm going to fill handle all together. I can grab all of them, or select all of them, let go, and then click on the fill handle, solid crosshair, and it will copy all of those cells all the way out to December. Look at all the time I saved. I didn't have to enter anything more, just copying that out. Now another way to do this would have been, I can select Control-C copy, and then select where I want it to paste, and I can Control-V paste, and it should do the same. Oh, I guess I went down too far. Let's do that again. Let's copy, and then select out over to December down to row 16 this time, and Control V paste. And that's the same as though I did the fill handle over. So fill handle or copy paste works. But now we just make a few modifications to our every month the same here. For website, we do pay for the website in July. We pay $500 in July. Now I could have spread that out across the year and give each month 500 divided by 12, but we'll just keep track that yes, July, that's when we actually pay the bill. Same thing for office supplies, but this time we only pay it for office supplies every 3 months. So February, March should be 0. Now I can hit delete, and mathematically that's the same as 0 when we ever do any math on that. But our accountants would not be happy because they see a blank row, they think, oh, you forgot to enter something there. So we're going to enter a 0 there, and also enter a 0 for March. Now I know I'm going to want to enter zeros for these 2 months as well. So let's go. I'm going to do a Control-C copy of what's in cell D14 or any cell that had a 0 in it. Now I can select May and June and simply do a Control-V paste, and it replaces that with a 0. Now I could have typed a 0 too, but I'm just showing you that if you have a lot of pasting or a lot of replacing, if you replacing it with the same thing, copy and a paste. And remember, it is remembering not only the value that I'm pasting, it is remembering the format of what I had selected. So as you start doing formatting of things, as you copy paste, remember that you're pasting the format as well, unless you choose the paste special. So now I have all the numbers for my projected expenses. I'm checking the data one more time. I'm going to zoom out here. There's all the numbers all the way out through December. And I'm going to do a Control-S to save what I've done so far. Check your numbers. And then we're ready to now have Excel do some work for us. We're going to start here. I'll zoom in here now. We could add this up together. I know that I should get a total of $12,100 for my total, but we're going to let Excel do the work. We're going to do it a couple of different ways. The first way we're going to do it is enter a formula by typing the equal sign. Equal means start a formula, start doing some calculation. So that is the important key for having Excel do the work for us. What I wanted to do is add up what's here to what's there. So I type in the cell address, B5, and as soon as I type B5, it highlights. Actually, I want to type. I'll do it in the order, top to bottom. B4 plus B5. See how as I type the cell address, it highlights that and with the color and shows me that's what it's referring to. Nice way to visually verify I'm typing the right number. I need to hit enter before I see the result of Excel's calculation. Here's another way to do it. I could type equal sum left parenthesis. The sum is a formula available in Excel among about 1,000 other formulas that are very powerful. Sum and then parenthesis means, okay, what am I summing together? I'm going to type in C4 colon C5. That means I am summing together that range of numbers starting at C4 and ending at C5. Hit enter even without putting a right parenthesis, and it knows I meant to put a right parenthesis there. Another way to do it, I can type equal. I can click on D4 and type the plus symbol, and then click on D5, just as though I typed it. watch what happens if I forget to hit enter and I click somewhere else. It is changing D5 to be where the next cell was that I clicked on. So be careful when you're in the formula. Be careful to not click somewhere else until you have your formula. Hit enter before you start clicking somewhere else. If you're in the middle of editing a formula, you can really mess up your formula if you forget to hit enter, and you'll get some crazy formula. So I click back on the two things I want to add together, and I hit enter to finish the formula. Yet there is more. I can let Excel do even more of the work by just coming up here to do auto sum here. Excel automatically sums together what it thinks I want to sum together. That is a powerful auto sum. It automatically looks above the cell I was in to see, are there numbers up there that can be added together? It found them and gave you this suggested range of cells, and it got it right. So I'm going to hit enter because I am happy with its results. Enter is the same thing as clicking the little check mark there in the formula, up in the formula bar. Now I don't have to do auto sum again, although I could. Remember, once I get it right, I can fill handle over that formula. And notice the formula here was F4 to F5. This one automatically changed to G4 to G5. When you copy a formula, it changes the relative addressing of the cells that were in the previous formula. So I can fill handle that out to December, and it knows, oh, you must have meant to add up the rows above me. That's relative addressing. So auto sum, enter the formula by hand, just by typing in equal and then the formula. Enter the formula with a sum function. Enter the formula by pointing and clicking, or letting Excel do your auto sum. Control S says I've done some work. And now there's even more we can do with auto sum. Out here I could click auto sum, but how about selecting all three and now auto sum? What do you think it's going to do? It knew what you meant. It auto summed to the left. If I double click, I'll see what it summed together. Escape or hit enter to get out of editing that formula. Double click, escape to get out of editing, double click. If I want to see all my formulas at the same time, the control tick mark, the control upper left key, shows me all the formulas everywhere in my spreadsheet without me having to click on each one separately. Control tick, upper left corner, and then I can come back to see what the results of the formulas were. This is how I grade your Excel projects, because some people will go to the book at the last minute and type in the numbers that are supposed to be there. I'll come and see, oh, they typed in a number, they didn't put in a formula. You won't get credit if you don't use formulas in where there's supposed to be formulas. So control tick the results of my formulas. Now we're going to do the same thing down below. I come down here at total here. Let's see what an auto sum does for me here. It automatically selected the range B9 all the way to B16. So this is where it is much better to use a sum than the equals B9 plus B10 plus B11. Just give me the sum of that range. Hitting enter, remember I have to hit enter. If I click somewhere else, it'll mess up that range. Hit enter after doing auto sum. Let's do auto sum one more time, and then we'll do the fill handle. Auto sum, enter. And if I'm happy with that, I can click, hover over the fill handle, and drag out to December. So the only ones, they should all be 2775 except for January, April, every third month, and then of course July has more because that's our website payment. Otherwise they're about the same number all the way across. Anytime I want to see a formula, if I click on it, I see the formula up there in the formula bar. Double clicking lets me see it right there in the cell. But remember, that means I'm in edit mode. I'm in dangerous mode here when I have the insertion point there. Always hit escape. Don't accidentally type something or you mess up your cell. Suppose I did mess it up by either deleting or typing something bad. I can always go to the one next to it and say, oh, I meant to fill handle that over. You can always go to the cell next to it, see what formula is there. Oh yeah, I'm summing together all those numbers above. Now in terms of accounting, I'm hoping that this is fairly simple accounting. I'm just keeping track of my income in one category. The total income is those incomes added together. The total expenses is all my expenses added together here. And so what would net be? Anyone want to give that a try? What would the formula for net, my net income for January, would be, well, my total income for January minus my total expenses for January, because that's my total expenses. So that would be the formula, equal, what's up here is my total for January, B6, minus, I'm using a point and click, minus the total for expenses in January. Hitting enter will give me, hopefully, a positive number. Yes, I'm making money. Made $9,000 because I spent less than I earned. Anyone but the government has to use that formula. The government can expend more than they earn and just charge your grandchildren more taxes. Kick the can down the road. We can't do that in our expenses. We have to have fewer expenses than income if we're going to survive and not have huge debt. If I want to get the formula for the others, I'm going to do the Control-C copy and select through where I want to paste it. I don't have to do the fill handle. I can just select through where I want to paste that formula that I just copied. See how the dotted line or the dashed line shows me that that is now going to be what's pasted. And if I carefully select the right things, now I can Control-V paste. It puts that formula just as though I did a fill handle over. I can verify my numbers. Oh, wait a minute here. That's not the right formula. That's not the right formula. Oh, it is. No, it is the right formula. I forgot that. Yeah, it had the number. Yeah, that's the right formula. Control tick shows me that the formula did change as I copied it over. Now the totals over here for the expenses haven't been entered yet. So let's get those entered. Let's do it the quick way. Going to go to the end of that column, select all of these, and click Auto Sum. And I can do the same thing here. I can click Auto Sum. My total income summed together, hit enter, and there is the big number, my total income for the year, my net income, $154,000. That'll pay the salary of a couple people. They're being very frugal in their expenses, making about 10 grand a month with lots of commission. Remember, this is projected, probably projected on last year's numbers. Now let's do a save, Control S, to make sure we have our data saved. Now we're going to start coming back to this data and printing it up. Because remember, our target, our goal is to have a nice, pretty spreadsheet with numbers in the correct format, with some color there as well. So we're going to calculate, or now we're going to format now. Now we have the data in there. Now we're going to change the formatting. So we're going to come back to the top of this and adjust our text contained in those first few cells. So the formatting of that first cell, can you guess what format this cell should be? I click on the cell, and you see where you have cell styles up there on the Home tab? Here is my various cell styles that I can apply to that cell. and I'm going to have that be a title style. Now this gives you a built-in formatting for that cell. And let's change the color of that text to rightmost upper right green, theme color green, accent 6. I can Control B, bold that cell. Now remember, if I were inside that cell in editing and I had some characters in there selected, I can apply separate font style to those characters, but I have to be inside that cell editing. If I only have the cell selected, anything I apply applies to the entire contents of that cell. But if you ever wanted variation in the color, you could come here and choose a color and it would retain that just for those particular characters. But I have to do that only by selecting those characters when I'm in edit mode. If I want to go back to all green, I can come here and just say, wait a minute, I wanted them all green. It automatically applies it to everything in the cell. We would like to change the font style for all that text to be Arial. So we want to change that title to be Arial bold. I've already made it bold, but and I think the size is okay, 18 point. Monthly estimates, we would like that to be, what styles do we have available to us? We have title, we have heading 4. We don't have a subtitle built-in style, but let's choose, how about we choose heading 4 and then increase the size a bit to, how about 16 point. We don't want it as big as the title. And just for fun, let's choose a different font of, how about Arial narrow for the subtitle. And since we're kind of choosing a green formatted, reminding us of the green profits we're making, let's go ahead and choose the same color. It remembers the last color that we had selected for our font. And because I don't have a particular set of letters selected, it makes them all that same color. It remembers your history of font. Now, we would like this title to actually look a little better. Right now it's kind of up there in the upper left corner. Let's center it across all our numbers. I could click and move that cell by grabbing the double arrow and moving it to the center and kind of guess where the center is. Or I could select through all the cells from A to, or the columns A to N of that row, and I can do the merge and center. The guy on the elevator did that. That was way back. I can merge and center those. It automatically treats all that content as though it were in one big cell that overlaps the other cells. This here is not merge and center, even though it looks like it's in cell B. Cell B is still there. I could put something there. But if I want to treat this all as one cell, I can also merge and center the subtitle, and that becomes merged and centered. Remember how you have these tiny little lower right settings available? Let's see what's in there to show us that the merging and center, this is the way we used to do it. You have to bring up that dialog and click merge cells. But this dialog does show you there's lots of other capabilities in the formatting. Basically, I've centered that and I've merged the cells that were selected. I could rotate. I could apply different types of text. I could decide my vertical centering. I could have some indenting. This is in the detail formatting dialog available to you. We're going to be using that in later, more advanced projects. But that is there available for you to explore. If you've been here in Excel before, feel free to explore the more advanced settings there's so much there that just by using it you learn how it works. Okay, so I have title, subtitle. Let's make the title a little bigger. Let's increase that font size. How about to 24? Nice and visible. Now you see the little grid lines here. If you ever printed this out, these little grid lines are not going to show on your printout. But you can make them show if you actually want to see grid lines. That would have to be, it has to do with the bordering that you want to show. But we would like our headings across the top of each column to be in a nice format. Let's go over to cell styles, and let's choose the heading style here. I think heading 1 would probably be a good style to choose. Now I do see October is getting kind of scrunched, but we'll fix that. We'll stretch things out to make all our months visible. And they would also like to change the font to Arial narrow. Oh no, we did that one. Let's see what we're doing to that. We're applying the heading 1. Yes, heading 1. And I think we're leaving the font alone. Okay. Now the same font, the same style here, I should probably be applying to this as well. Now I could use my format painter, or I could just select through them all and go back to cell styles, heading 1. And there it's doing pretty good. We don't have the matching colors yet. But let's just notice something here. I'm going to zoom in on part of this. Do you notice that the text, anytime you enter text, it is left aligned automatically. Anytime you enter number, it's right aligned. And let's just do a little experimenting in some blank cells on here. If I enter a word, Joe, it's left aligned. If I enter a number, 0, it's right aligned. If I enter a number 0.0, it's right aligned. But watch what happens if I enter 1, 3. It treats that as not a number, so it leaves it left aligned. So normally it's automatically right aligning anything that it sees as a number. If you did want to change your alignment, you can come up to here in the alignment and adjust your alignment however you like. But Excel is automatically aligning numbers on right aligned, and any thing it recognizes as a name, not a number, it will left align it. But you can still adjust your alignment later. And we can apply styles, and sometimes the style will affect the alignment. Usually it just affects the font and the color. Those are just experimental cells, so I'm going to clean those up. So now I can Control-S save. And one last thing here, notice my months are getting scrunched up. If I want to fix that, here's an easy way to fix that. I can do a Control-A or Select All. The upper left corner also does a Select All. And I can double click on any column border, and it will automatically auto-fit my columns to be the best fit for what's in that column. So Control-A, double click on any column border, auto-fits. Watch what happens though if I adjust one column manually. All the columns, well, if I have all the columns selected and I adjust one column, all the columns will become that size that I selected the 1 to. But if I go back and then double click on a column border, it auto fits them for me. So select all, adjust one column, they all get that tiny size, or large size if I select one. Double click, auto fits, and I have lovely visibility. Now September did kind of get a little big there, but we want to be able to see the name of our month. We will stop there because we're coming to the end of this section. Next time we'll be doing the formatting of the numbers. That's super important to your accountants. Right aligned with proper currency and decimal places. And of course, alignment. All right, have a great day. Save that to your local drive or your jump drive or your OneDrive, and have a wonderful day.